Blessed love to one and all. We definitely do give thanks to the life giver and the keeper of life, Emperor Haile Selassie I. Give thanks for the Father and Mother of creation, and again give thanks for your presence with us right here. In the tiger's nest, full mystic vibration, Honorable Priest Isaac here with you, giving thanks again for your presence. And of course, when you come into the nest, you know it is just, again, mystic vibration, something like the shock of the hour, a very grievous thing. Now, what I want to touch upon, as you would see in the title, you know, the reign of the Emperor Tafari, you know, on record officially, 7 months. And when you realize what I'm talking about, some may consider it a play on words. But no, it's not a play on words, it's the reality of the mystics. And from you are a follower, a listener, a watcher of the mystic vibration, the shock of the hour, whatever it may be, you would notice that we thrive on the esoteric, you know, the allegory, the mythos, you know, hidden messages within the numbers, numerology, you know, anagrams and technograms, and the codes are there. And dealing with the Most High, Emperor Haile Selassie I, obviously, you know, again, I must even point out our episode, our documentary video lecture on Is Haile Selassie a Mason, which we have placed on the YouTube, a must watch for everyone, especially when it relates to even the science that we're going to even show here today. But we are speaking of Emperor Rastafari, and of course we're in the season of the 10th of December. And just to explain how important the hidden science is, and no one can tell me Haile Selassie I himself is not a part of that living science that is being exposed in history. Because the 10th of December, again, the shock of the hour, for those who listen to the shock of the hour radio program, we did a program on the 10th of December. And the 10th of December, within the whole aspect of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress, which is the Bobo Shanti Order, the 10th of December is the feast of the Passover. And the 10th of December also aligns itself with what is known as Human Rights Day, the Declaration of Human Rights coming out of the United Nations. That's the 10th of December as well. And then of course the 10th of December is also aligned with the Sumerian writings that speaks of the shepherd of Anu who shall rise with the twins, the 10th of December. And astronomically speaking, the 10th of December is the coming forth of the constellation of Orion with the twins, basically, which is Gemini, Hu and Sa, which they refer to as Castor and Pollux. And Gemini is standing above Sahu, also known as Orion, and its, you know, ascent or rising is at the very same moment when the sun is setting, and that being on the 10th of December every year. That's just a natural thing. Remember, the sidereal clock has a 4-minute difference than the solar clock. The solar day and the sidereal day, the day of the stars, has a 4-minute difference. So whatever difference, any star that is aligned with the sun in the rising in the morning will have a 4-minute difference from the sun at the same time the next day, and we'll have an 8-minute difference from the sun the same time the next day, and then a 12 minutes difference from the sun the same time the next day after that, because every day there's that 4 minutes different as it relates to the sun and the stars. So with that astronomical clock, you know, movement, you know, every 10th of December, Orion, the constellation, will rise perfectly at the time when the sun is going down. That's really it. And as I said, the Sumerians considered that the rising of the shepherd of Anu. But keep in mind that this Orion Sahu constellation, we have already showed that this is the Asar, within the principles of the Medunetta. The Asar, also known as the Osiris. Osiris in resurrection became the constellation of Sahu, became the constellation of Orion. And at the same time now, when he, which is the Asar, became that constellation, it is said that, he ruled the heavens. This is why the Orion constellation now, not the mythos now, but the science. That's why the Orion, the Sahu constellation is perfectly, on the equator of the heavens. The equator of the heavens runs right through the belt of Sahu, the Orion's belt. And that is why the top half of Orion is on the northern hemisphere of the heavens, and the bottom half of Orion perfectly is on the southern half of the heavens, the southern celestial hemisphere, with his sword up in the air, and of course his shield before him. And of course that third part of the cosmic series, which is the Orion constellation, which we have placed on our YouTube channel, clearly gives you more detail as it relates to Sahu, which is the said Orion constellation. So my point is now that we have always connected Emperor Haile Selassie I with Asar. So obviously there must be a connection made with Orion Sahu, which we also did in the cosmic series. And this is why now when it comes to Asar, the same Sahu, the same Orion, the same Amsu, the same Karis, the same Risen One, the whole concept with the phallic is very important. The erected penis. Remember, all the body parts of Asar was found. All the body parts of Osiris was found and put together by his empress, the Aset, and the Anpu, and the Tahuti all played a part. And the resurrection of Asar definitely, has gone down in allegorical history. And then he became the constellation of Orion, where, the half was above and half below, perfectly cutting the heavens in half. Very important. Why? Because the scripture speaks of the angels standing and crying with a loud voice, and one foot was on water and one foot on land. And we connect that with Haile Selassie historically standing unique when it comes to a head of state addressed in the League of Nations, and yet still the same head of state addressing the United Nations. That's a very unique, privilege given only to Haile Selassie I. And all of this is very, very important when we understand the reality of allegory becoming, physical, literal, in the real historical form. Prophecy is fulfilled through history. So I'm saying all of that to say the obelisk now, which we refer to as the Teken, is the symbol of the erected penis of Osiris, the phallic of Asar. And this Teken or obelisk, when Haile Selassie I addressed the United Nations, he gave the Secretary General of the United Nations and the United Nations in general a replica of the obelisk or the Teken, the Ethiopian version, which is the phallic of Asar. And interestingly, the time that he gave them, or the time that he issued that gift in history for the world to see, was at the moment when he was going to address the United Nations, for us to seal in history the only head of state to address both the League of Nations and the United nations. And when that was done, the moment that was fulfilled, which is the same fulfillment as half of him, Orion, is on the north and half is on the south. 1 foot on water and 1 foot on land. Because remember, the Asa did not become the Orion until he resurrected. It was after the resurrection period where Asa or Osiris became Sahu, also known as Orion. Not prior to, not before he was chopped up into the pieces or crucified or murdered or anything you want to put. The master of ceremonies, man. The master of ceremonies. So at the resurrection now, after all the war and from the 5th of May to the 5th of May, coming to speak at the UN, he gave them the obelisk. The symbol, that is the symbol of Asa. That was the body part that was not found, that they say was swallowed by the catfish. And then he became Orion. So it's obvious, not just the priest Isaac saying this, as some people like to say, oh, that's priest Isaac thing. Right. But it's obvious that the emperor himself, pardon the expression, is playing the game. So I mean, the emperor don't know what he doing when he give the United Nations an obelisk. You don't think like, just give him something at such a key time, when he who was crowned with the 72 nations coming to bow before him on the 2nd of November. Yeah, fulfilling even Psalms 70 and 2. And the Asa, who a banquet was held for him, and 70 and 2 came, put him in the coffin and crucified him. But in 5 years he resurrected, from the 5th of May 1936 to the 5th of May 1941. Quote unquote exile. Haile Selassie was speaking of. So you don't think that the emperor have any idea whatsoever. Is Haile Selassie a Freemason? You should watch that documentary again. Refresh yourself. Refresh yourself. And check who we really dealing with. A bomb is going to drop, but we ain't talking about Jesus Christ. We're talking about Emperor Haile Selassie I. So anyway, I said all of that to say, and give thanks that it's my program, so we have the liberty to, say a thing or two extra. But to the title that I was drawing, and to be honest, all that we just said would refresh or at least spark the mind to the levels we're going into. It was just like an introduction, really. So Marcus Garvey says this in 1930. It was printed in November 1930 in the Black Man, page 4. But I would assume that it was said before November, the same 1930. And Messiah Garvey says, we have gradually won our way back into the confidence of the God of Africa. And he shall speak with the voice of thunder, that shall shake the pillars of a corrupt and unjust world, and once more restore Ethiopia to her ancient glory. The psalmist prophesied that princes shall come out of Egypt, and Ethiopia would stretch forth her hands unto God. We have no doubt that the time is now come. Ethiopia is really stretching forth her hands. This great kingdom of the East has been hidden for many centuries, but gradually she is rising to take a leading place in the world. And it is for us, the Negro race, to assist Anubis talking here in every way to hold up the head of Emperor Tafari. And again, the Black Man, November 1930, the 4th page. That was a very simple thing, you know. But I consider it a very deep thing. Now remember, we're talking about Liege Tafari. And according to the history, Haile Selassie, the name, was actually his baptismal name. A name that seems to have been put aside for a special moment because he had it from birth. But yet still, we know him as Tafari. We know him as the young one. Rases would say Tafari means creator. Liege Tafari. We know him as Didejma Tafari at a tender age, 12, 13. And then it's 1960, the 27th of September, where he became the regent, and Zaditu, the princess, became Empress Zaditu of Ethiopia. And therein we have now Rastafari. And do you know, it is at that time, that moment really, where the individual who we come to know as King Selassie, Rastafari, really bust out to the world. Really, 4 corners, internationally. At a time when, the most you have is radiogram. Television just coming into fashion and style, and it was very, very few. But yet still the world knew of this as some would refer to him as spunky, young regent of Ethiopia, doing marvelous works for Ethiopia. Rastafari. But then now in 1930, the daughter of the great Menelik II, Empress Zaditu, passed. And she passed on the 2nd of November. And the emperor himself, in his autobiography, clearly makes you understand that from that very moment, we became Emperor of Ethiopia. Not the 2nd of November, 1930, but the another 2nd of April, the same year, 1930. So who we dealing with here now? What's the name of this emperor? He is Emperor Tafari. He is, as Marcus Garvey put it, Emperor Rastafari. Quite interesting. And it's something that you could easily overlook, You could say, well, Are you going to make a big deal over that? Okay, I might. But what is catching here is that obviously on record, because this is, it got to be on record. And on record, from the 2nd of April 1930, according to the Julian, the Gregorian calendar that we running and chopping up here, from the 2nd of April, the ruler of Ethiopia was Emperor Tafari. And that rulership or reign went until the 2nd of November, which means technically it lasted for exactly 7 months. Exactly to the day, 7 months. The emperor picked the day of his coronation in the same way that he chose to bring the obelisk to the UN. Just pick that day out of all the other days. He could have sent it a long time, man. He passed through the region already too, man. But he picked that day when he ready to give the speech. Some parts of the speech, many of us know it by heart. And until the philosophy that holds one race superior, and it goes on and on. The obelisk. So in the same way, I'm sure that the emperor had great comprehension and understanding when he chose the moment, the day, the hour of the official coronation, when the name would be no more Emperor Tafari, but it would be Emperor Haile Selassie the First. And Emperor Haile Selassie the First, officially, that reign began on the 2nd of November 1930. And just knowing that we're dealing with a divine being, I'm talking of Haile Selassie the First, means that there must be something to all of this. Because we comprehend the science of the number 7. The number of perfection and fulfillment. Not the highest number. The number of Christ. The whole science of the 7 days in a strong, and there is a natural 7-day cycle. The moon exhibited clearly the different stages of the moon. That's the natural 7-day, the sunset and rise 7-time cycle that actually exists in nature. So the chakra of the 7 again, the 7 chakra, we all comprehend, man. The science of the 7. They speak about the 7 seas. So there's a heights within the number 7, and King Emmanuel the 7th. There's a heights within the number 7 itself. And for the emperor to choose to keep that energy for exactly 7 months to the day, and then the coronation to fulfill such an order at that time too, when the heavens are opening, we know for sure we're dealing with a science man. Give thanks. Jah Rastafari. So let me just say, if you have not subscribed to the Shock of the Hour radio program, I would advise you definitely contact us via email, being the Priest Isaac 27 gmail.com, and definitely get more information on how you could definitely get the nightly program, our nightly radio program, which will be emailed straight to your inbox each and every day from the program is completed and recorded. And of course, you can definitely get a monthly subscription, a 6 month subscription, or even a yearly subscription. And of course, the bigger the subscription, more you will save. So this is, of course, again, the Shock of the Hour radio program, nightly program from Monday to Thursday. And as I said, all you have to do is to contact us, Priest Isaac 27 at gmail.com, and get more information on how to come on board. So give thanks for your presence with us. Give thanks to the life giver and the keeper of life, Prophet, Priest, and King, Father, Son, and Holy One, King Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari.